What happens when a wealthy, paralyzed aristocrat hires an ex-street gangster as his caretaker, and their unlikely friendship changes both their lives forever? Driss was driving his master Philippe through the streets of Paris. When they encountered heavy traffic, Driss broke the speed limit and started driving very fast. But under a bridge, the police surrounded his car from both sides. He was not even bothered by this and started putting on his friend's shirt, saying the police would let him go. As soon as he got out of the car, he began acting in front of the police. Because of this behavior, they decided to take him to the hospital as soon as possible. The policeman saw the wheelchair behind the car, and Philippe also started his act. Seeing this, the police let them go. In the joy of winning the shirt, Driss played party songs and took a few puffs of cigarettes with Philippe. Philippe and his manager Magali interviewed Driss as a new caretaker. He was a very street-smart type of man, and as soon as he arrived, he fearlessly flirted with Magali. Philippe was very interested in him because of his actions. He asked Driss to bring some papers the next day. When Driss came home, but his mother started yelling at him because he had been missing for 6 years. She kicked Driss out of the house, saying this was a home, not a hotel, and he could not come and go as he pleased. The next morning, Philippe showed Driss his room and bathroom, and Driss's eyes were wide open. Then Philippe called him, gave him the papers, and offered him a 1-month trial job. Driss agreed, but Philippe bet that he would last 2 months. Even Driss had to clean the backyard after using the toilet. Driss complained a lot, but finally accepted the job. While dining one night, Driss met Philippe's daughter Alyssa and her boyfriend, who were some of the social elite. Driss learned all the work in a few days. He also read the letters that came to Philippe, but some letters he was not allowed to open. Despite the workload, Driss enjoyed the job whenever he got the chance. One morning, Driss had to take Philippe for a ride in a car. But instead of putting Philippe behind like luggage, he took him in a sports car. Initially, Philippe did not like it, but later he enjoyed it too. Then they went to a museum where Philippe was going to buy a painting. Driss joked, "Uncle Sathya has gone. Suppose you have blind money but have to loot a little like this. Who buys a splash of red paint on an empty canvas, brother?" Philippe met a relative who told him Driss was not the right man, and that he had even been to jail once. But Philippe did not care. He liked Driss because he didn't feel sorry for him like everyone else. Driss always felt like a normal person around Philippe. One day, Driss calmed Philippe down, cleaned his face with a wet cloth, and Philippe finally fell asleep. But soon his breathing started to stop again. This time, Driss made him sit in a wheelchair without hesitation, picked up a blanket, and took him for a walk along the river. I don't know how long it took Philippe to come out on the streets of Paris at night with Driss. At first, Philippe was a little hesitant, but after blowing the smoke, he felt quite stunned. After this, they had a fun meal in a restaurant. Feeling a little sentimental, Philippe told Driss the whole story of his life. Philippe was very fond of high-speed adventure sports, and one day there was an accident while paragliding, which caused his condition. He also lost his wife in the same accident. That's when Philippe remembered Driss's story. It was found that the police had been making rounds of Driss's house for a long time. Philippe understood that Adama must be in some trouble, so he hurried to meet her. In fact, 30 grams of drugs were caught from Adama. Driss wanted to take her with him, but she desperately walked away. Later, Driss sat down with Philippe and wrote a letter to Eleanor. To his surprise, they hadn't even seen each other's pictures yet. He took Eleanor's number from the letters and asked Philippe to call her. One day, Alyssa came to ask Driss for a cigarette and started making fun of his painting. Driss angrily kicked her out of the room. Meanwhile, Philippe was changing the picture from the letter to the one before he was paralyzed. He was thinking deeply. Both of them used to walk together in the morning. Driss completed his first painting and showed it to Magali, who was slightly impressed. But when he reached forward to kiss her, she instead kissed Driss vigorously. She promised to sell the painting. When Philippe's birthday came, he was not very happy because his relatives would come every year just to see that he was still alive. Everyone was enjoying boring classical music at the birthday party. Hearing this, Philippe laughed and said, "Got a little girl." Philippe sold Driss's painting to a relative for 11,000 euros. Later, Philippe asked Driss to listen to some old classical music. But instead of enjoying it, Driss started laughing out loud. He began dancing and playing his street party songs with everyone else joining him. The date with Eleanor, Driss and Youssef saw Philippe wearing many suits. After much swapping, he finally liked one. Youssef took Eleanor out for a date and Driss went to threaten Alyssa's boyfriend. In the restaurant, Youssef and Philippe were waiting for Eleanor. When she did not return an hour later, Philippe called Driss to take her home. It was only when he came out of the restaurant that Eleanor came in, but they did not see each other. The next morning, they headed to the mountains, and Philippe decided to go paragliding once again, but on the condition that Driss would accompany him. Driss was hesitant at first, but later started enjoying it. Returning home, Philippe couldn't find Nyan, so he asked Driss about his family. Driss hesitated and told him that his uncle and aunt had adopted him because his aunt was unable to have children. But after the uncle died, many men came and went, so he thought that one last time he would flirt with Magali. But Magali introduced him to Fred, who was actually a girl. The next day, Philippe met his new caretaker, who was very boring, so he quietly left without eating anything. One night, Philippe had a lot of trouble, but did not get help from anyone. At last, he had to call Driss, and that brought us back to the beginning of the story. After this, Driss made Philippe his grandmother and took her to a restaurant. He had no problem with Philippe's wheelchair either. This is a true story in which Philippe and Eleanor finally got married. The two are still true friends today. Do you have a friend for whom you would do anything? If yes. So, that's the unforgettable journey of the Intouchables, a story that proves friendship can break barriers and change lives. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring movie stories. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.